as excited as I am? Are you? Well, contain that excitement a little bit, my friends. That's right, we're here with Strategic Command World War I. Strategic Command fans will be familiar with this game, and this is the newest iteration, bringing in the Great War, which I think is a great idea. Now we're going to jump into single player, and you can probably guess who I think I want to start playing as. It's going to be the glorious Central Powers under the Kaiser, the Great Empire. Let's see if we can make things happen here, guys, and more importantly, let's see if we can't score a victory. We're jumping in to Strategic Command World War I. Now, it looks like for the units, we've got the land counters and, of course, the NATO counters. Now, I usually always go with NATO counters, so that's what I'm going to stick with. But the land counters look quite interesting, and I think we might pop in between both to sort of get a look at them. In fact, I'm going to start with 3D units and then switch over to the standard units. We've got Fog of War, etc. Great. We can also select quick animation if we want to, but we don't. Already, I'm loving even just the newspaper clippings are really a cool addition here. Let's see what the start is going to be. Are we going to start exactly at the beginning of World War I? Are we going to start a few weeks before? We'll take a look. Time to do some army deployment, guys, and it was interesting. It sort of let us know that there's several different options we have to deployment in the south, deploy in the east, or in the west, and these are all going to have pretty significant effects on how the conflict goes. So I'm going to put Alexander von Bülow somewhere over here. We already have quite a few generals here, but I want to strengthen them. I want to strengthen the men even more. So I'm going to put von Bülow here. I'm going to get some artillery. We could also auto-deploy the units instead of putting them down. Since we're just doing a nice quick look here, I'll go ahead and do the auto-deploy, but as you can see, you can decide how to set up your initial army completely, which is somewhat different than previous iterations of Strategic Command. So it's going to go ahead and drop the Kaiser's forces here. I absolutely love it. And we'll get into the game. Now, obviously, a lot of people enjoy or prefer the NATO counters. So that is what I'm going to show you guys pretty soon here. A successful advance into Serbia, seizing Belgrade and Niš will encourage Bulgaria to enter the war on our side. But we must hold against our eastern frontier, for Russian advances may entice Romania into entering the war against us. Alright guys, Romania is also an important food source, so war with that country could also lead to hunger and low morale at home. So obviously we need to take this area, and we could delay the conflict with the UK. I don't think we're necessarily going to. We also are getting messages about the importance of the Netherlands. But what I'm going to do is attack over here into Serbia. Let's push in, guys. So first things first, I want to try to cut off the enemy. Sending in units from Sarajevo. Alright, some nice initial combat here in the game. And it looks like the Serbs don't have many men, but of course they're going to fight extra hard. Let's push for the zone of control here. Definite loss there. Zone of control here as well. I think our best bet is actually to come in from the west, behind the enemy. So that's what we're going to try to do. We will, of course, push some units forward. I'll actually attack. I'll take those odds. Not the worst odds I've seen. And let's start taking Russian territory, folks. So much to do, as you can imagine here, in this particular game. I mean, the possibilities are endless, and really you can approach World War I however you'd like. Gotta stop just rushing in here to this Russian territory, since they seem to be defending it pretty well, surprisingly. So our goal is going to be to take Lodz, and I think we've got an easy attack right here. The odds are slightly against us, but I was still stubborn enough to attack the city. We'll actually go ahead. I should have done this before. Cutting off the rail line to Warsaw. Poland shall be in our grasp very soon. Let's also take these guys from Allenstein. That's more of an attack I like to see. Alright, folks. So let's also take a look here at the production and the research. I wonder if researching gas is an option, or if it's just, automatically kind of part of the game. Now, obviously, I want to go for infantry warfare. Insufficient funds. We're going to have to wait a little bit. What about infantry weapons? Yeah, we have to wait a little bit until we take some territory. All right, folks. push into France has not occurred yet. We could, of course, declare war on Belgium, which I think is the best thing to do. Let's do that right now. So we're going to go into diplomacy. Let's go to Belgium and declare war. It only seems natural. Okay, so that, of course, brings the UK into the war immediately. Now, if we were actually going for a full campaign here, it would probably be a better idea to essentially keep the UK as a neutral partner here for a little while. And essentially just kind of let them slowly get into the war on their own. But I really wanted to get some action going, guys. I wanted to see if we could capture a city in the name of the Kaiser. Let's see if we can do it. It'll probably take more than just a single turn. And that fortress fell very quickly. And we're also going to declare war on the Netherlands. Because let's face it, if we declared war on Belgium, we should do the same to the Netherlands and try to secure it very quickly. Although they are drifting towards our cause, nonetheless, we're going to go a little crazy here. Alright, so the USA protests the aggression, and actually several countries protest the aggression, but hopefully it won't cause them to actually join up with the Dutch or the Belgians. Let's bring that cavalry in. For the Kaiser, boys! Bring in the unit as well. Look at that. Very damaging to the Dutch defenders. The war begins in earnest, friends. Bring some more men to that front, and actually I might even divert a few guys from the French front here against the enemy. Now, against the French, we could certainly try and start pushing forward towards Verdun, etc. I think taking Luxembourg is absolutely important, but I'm just going to go ahead, push forward here. Luxembourg is ours. I'm going to stay on the rail line for now. I don't want to push too far in. Not into the Woevre area. We'll get this guy in, and as you can see, an attack would be suicidal, so I'm not even going to go for it. We've also got some bombers here, so that's going to be an additional part of the game. But what I want to do... Notice a difference, folks. Here we're playing with the 3D counters, or without the 3D counters, excuse me. Now, I will say something. Despite me usually being a big fan of the NATO counters here, as we have them, I kind of like, especially for a World War I game, to go back to the actual unit counters themselves. I can pretty much tell what everything is. Things are somewhat more simplified than World War II. So you know what? I think I might go ahead and go back to my old standard unit counters if I end up playing this again. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you prefer the counters like this, or do you prefer the 3D models? So over here, obviously a lot of Russian defenders. I want to try to get to Libau. It's just a weak garrison here. Hopefully we can take it without too much of a fuss. Of course, we're going to send all of these men north to assist in taking it. But I also want to make sure that we have some navies over here to cut off the British from getting to the Netherlands. So we're going to get some battleships, some submarines, of course. Looks like the Dutch got some submarines there before us. Let's see if we can't target them with the destroyer. I think we will bring in our own sub and put him a little bit closer here to the enemy territory. If anybody leaves the port there at London, then we will annihilate them. I'm also going to push in even further to the capital here of Belgium. Get a little bit closer. Our bombers have already moved, already attacked. Not much more they can do. The other thing we can do is just press along the front here. Pretty much get set up and prepared for the enemy movement and try and hold these bridge crossings. This is going to be a bit tricky though, and I also want to make sure that we have some generals to assist us, as it were. I'm tempted to do something slightly controversial, and that's to take these units and send them over to assist with the attack on Belgium and the Netherlands. I really want to make sure that it's a lightning quick offensive, so I am going to send them over. Obviously, I'll bring them back to the front when time allows. But for now, we need them over here. Sorry, boys. See if anything else is going on over here. Austria-Hungary, we could keep on pushing into Russia, but we're going to be a little more careful here. As you can see, they've got numerous men. We didn't even push into them. We simply stopped in front of them. But at least we have an idea of where their men are positioned. Oh, wow. The Tsar's armies are absolutely prepared. Should we head east? I think we can. We also have Turkey on our side. Let's not forget about the Turks. And I wonder if they can come up from the south. I believe they can. Look at that. The Turks don't have many men at this particular moment, but they will soon. And it looks like they haven't yet declared war on the Russians. Maybe they haven't formally joined the Axis quite yet. Bring those bombers over from Pressburg and try to actually get them over here closer to the front where things are actually happening. So many more naval units as well, guys. I mean, obviously in this time period, Germany's navy absolutely was one of the superpower navies really out there. Not so much in World War II. In World War II, the Germans still had a strong navy, but really in World War I, it shined. This was the best of the best. Bring them over here. I'd like to get that destroyer close. All right, folks. Now, obviously, if we were playing an actual match, we would do a lot more here. We would try a lot more attacks, etc. We'd probably try pressing the French already. But since we're just kind of showing the game off and getting a look at the game, I think we're going to forego that. However, I will carry out some attacks against this unit, some frontline attacks. What's World War I without some trench warfare? Not bad. The switch system should be, yeah, you can't switch during the same turn if you've attacked. That's pretty common, pretty standard. As you can see here, the odds of us winning these attacks are low, so I'm not going to go for them. Nonetheless, you can see the difficulties of a front like this. Pretty brutal little front. There we go. Forward! Oh, a nice strike there against the 8th Corps, the French 8th Corps. Not bad. In fact, I'm even going to try to bring in the Württemberg Corps to assist. We got some pretty decent attacks there against that French unit. Who knows? Maybe that could lead to some victories later on. I'm actually going to go ahead just quickly here. Bring in the glorious 2nd Cavalry Corps. And we've actually broken through the Vosges, this forest area. Of course, holding it is not something we're going to be able to do. But it gives you an idea of the sort of World War I combat you can expect here. Let's go ahead and end the turn, see what happens at the end of a turn, see how the enemy reacts. The loss of Norwegian imports lowers German morale. The lack of food imports via neutrals to the Netherlands causes hunger in Germany. So currently, being at war with Germany has caused us more problems than it's solved. We should, if we start a new game, then we'll approach this a different way. Maybe go to war with Belgium, but keep the Dutch on our side. All right, commander of the High Seas Fleet, der Mittelmeer Division, whose flagship is the Goeben battlecruiser, is currently in the Mediterranean sailing towards Constantinople. It is recommended that the Goeben continue on to Constantinople, where it will be taken into service with the Ottoman Navy and renamed the Yazid Sultan Selim. Yes, we're fine with that. Not a problem. France increases its arms production to the southwest. Not surprising. They're trying to protect their heavy industry as much as possible. General von Baum-Ermoli and the 4th and 7th Corps of our 2nd Army are currently en route to Novi Sad and Temesburg near the Serbian border, where they will deploy shortly to take part in the invasion of Serbia. However, deploying them there may leave us with insufficient forces facing the Russians. Therefore, it has been suggested that we send them to the Russian border instead. Unfortunately, sending them to fight against the Russians will delay their arrival by several weeks. Would you like these units to deploy to fight against Serbia or against Russia? We need to take Serbia as well. So if we could take the Serbs, we can transfer all of those units over. Austria-Hungary deploys 2nd Army to fight against Serbia. All right, there we go. About time. Welcome to the service of the Empire. French mobilization continues, nothing new there, and Russian mobilization continues. That's a pretty epic pick. Just a ton of Russian units. We've already met a lot of them, and the fact that they're continuing to mobilize means that they must have a lot of other scary stuff up their sleeve. Austro-Hungarian mobilization continues as well. That's good news for us, and more men joining the fight against the evil Russians. Mobilization, cutting off a lot of our armies here. Some excellent moves by the Russian. But as we know, in World War I, initially the Russians performed well. After some time, they started losing so many men. It was incredible. And hopefully that's what we're going to do with these troop arrivals. We would be able to turn the tide, attack them with flank attacks, and wipe out their armies completely. There we go. We've got some nice naval battles happening, too. And again, guys, I really do want to know. Let me know in the comments down below. Do you prefer these NATO counters, or do you actually prefer the physical units themselves? I have to say, with a World War II game, I prefer the NATO counters, but I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, I love the way those physical units looked. I'd love to see them on the map here. So maybe there's a way to sort of switch in between, depending on what we're doing. If we're doing something extraordinarily complicated, like a major frontal attack, or an invasion of a large country like Russia, I might switch to the NATO counters temporarily. Look at this high seas fight. This is true World War I naval combat. I love it. And one of our poor destroyers sunk there by the enemy. Well, we still have plenty of fight left in us. And I still have a lot of targets here to go for. Not to mention, our submarines are right there next to the enemy. They don't suspect a thing. Right, really trying to fortify their position here. Now, what I don't want is I don't want any British troops landing to assist them in defending the Netherlands or Belgium. That's why I went ahead and put all those ships there in pretty precarious waters, just to make sure that that doesn't occur. Got more of those Russian mass wave attacks. Even before the time of the Bolsheviks, they were more than capable of doing these mass wave attacks, and they're showing us that here. But I'm certain that taking East Prussia would be fairly easy. Well, not easy, but it can be done. And over here, we would have a lot of difficulty with the Austro-Hungarian border. We would have to offset the troops here by attacking the Russians in the northwest and trying to take as much territory as possible, force them to allocate troops there. Look at that, a terrifyingly bad attack by the French. We lost a bunch of men in that assault. We can only hope that they do more assaults like that throughout the game. Looks like the Serbs recruited a few more units. And the same with the French. These didn't just arrive. These are being recruited actively. The Serbs have a proper general now leading their forces. Is it Kalavic? I forget the guy's name. Leader of the Serb forces. So they've left a line open at Sedan. I'm not sure what that's about, what they're trying to do there. But it's probably a trap, trying to see if we will walk into Sedan with a unit. I feel like we've taken some territory, but then they'll have us cornered, or surrounded more appropriately, and we'll be in some serious trouble. You can see the units, the enemy just fortifying their current positions. Probably a good idea to try and withstand any assaults we do. The arrival of thousands of refugees from Galicia spreads fear throughout Austria-Hungary. The loss of grain from Galicia leads to hunger in Austria-Hungary. I'm adoring the way that the taking of certain territories here actually, will affect food, etc. And now we are suffering from lack of food imports from the Netherlands. We're suffering from the lack of food imports from Austria-Hungary. And the Ottomans are now enraged that the British have seized their sultan. So we need to retake those areas to get that food production up, and we need to turn the tide of the conflict, of course. Start making some major pushes here. But that takes time. I can see all these new troop arrivals. Those give me some hope. Fear of German raiders upsets trade from the British Empire. Oh boy. Okay, guys. So far, I'm loving it. I mean, it is everything I'd expect from a strategic command game and more. I'm just having a lot of fun here. Given our weakness in East Prussia, we could greatly strengthen our position there by bringing Paul von Hindenburg out of retirement. Yes! Of course! Welcome, von Hindenburg. I knows that picture. Alright, welcome aboard. Huge numbers of refugees have fled from the areas of fighting, and the need to feed, clothe, and house them is placing a huge burden on our empire's economy and infrastructure. If we are to prevent any further impact on our national morale, it would be wise to invest in caring for the refugees. So we will provide food. Saying no will increase demoralization. There's no point. There should be a better option for no there, because essentially yes is the only option. I mean, there would be no point in doing the no. So that's interesting nonetheless. Now we have this unit potentially cut off. I'm going to see if I can't complete that encirclement. No, it doesn't look like it. He's not going to give up that easily. There we go. Take Gutno for the Kaisermen. Now Hindenburg is here. But we can't exactly keep moving. Oh, yes we can. Alright, there we go, guys. Gutno is ours. Beautiful. And I just wanted to see how these subs would perform here. I'm going to do something else. I am going to go back to our 3D units. The game switches over quite easily there, which I love. So I can see how the 3D units would be complicated here, for especially the naval battles. Yeah, I could see using the NATO counters, but I love the look of these guys. They just look so great. Let's go ahead, use our sub to attack one of their other ships. Beautiful. Also got some major battleships here that should be able to do a lot of damage to the enemy. And we just sunk an enemy light cruiser. 450! National morale bonus. That is pretty epic. Did not think that we would have an enemy light cruiser there, but we'll attack nonetheless and maybe take out another British ship. We can certainly do a lot of damage to the Brits out here at sea. But of course, the goal is to try and take these cities very, very quickly. Now it's trench warfare with the Dutch as well. Must be done. There's also buttons here, obviously, to, all the buttons to reinforce your units. We've attacked with that unit, so we can't reinforce him this turn, but obviously he is on the list to be replaced. And I believe we can at least take that unit out of that area and shatter one of the Dutch armies. We're getting closer and closer to the capital. Could have actually used artillery there. We should have used artillery to wipe out that unit. Sort of changed tactics there just a little bit. But you can see, guys, the approach that we're taking. We would probably have the Netherlands and Belgium by next turn or the turn after at the latest. So much to do here. So many possibilities. I can't wait for release. If you guys enjoyed this and you want to see more, hit that like button, drop a comment down below, and of course, subscribe to our channel. You know, we're one of the few strategy channels out there tackling these more niche games and really putting a total focus on these niche games. So if you can help us out, it's really appreciated. Thanks, folks. Catch you on the next one.